Oh my God. Hi, girlies.
Hello, Jenny.
Hi, Bria.
What's going on?
What is going on today?
Oh my
So
God.
much.
So much. I feel like we are really making the most of our beautiful International Women's Day. It's tomorrow. And we just wanted to come at you, come to you as a woman.
As a woman. Woman to woman.
Woman to woman.
Woman
and just
to
keep
woman.
it real.
And we are progressing as women in society by speaking our truths.
Period. Let's just say, I feel like we should address, this is our International Women's Day episode. It is for the women, by the women, but this will not pass the Bechdel test because we are going to be dogging some fucking men today.
We are dogging the men who have dogged us like Reesa Teesa.
Can we talk about Reesa Teesa? Because this woman is so iconic. I spent an entire Saturday, driving down to San Diego. Yeah. I was listening in the car. I was in the hotel listening all night. On the way home, I had to re-listen to it because Will had missed some parts. I was in it. When were you listening to it?
I had the day after, I think.
But all at once.
Well, I felt so behind because all 50 had come out and I had seen you post about it. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I think it was a rainy day. So it was that week where there was a flood warning. So we didn't have to go in the office. Yeah. So while I was working, I just had that shit on repeat or on the playlist.
Shout out to TikTok for the playlist feature that auto plays because it was everything. I was listening in the shower. It was a podcast.
Same. Yeah, on my walk, I had it playing. In the car, I had it playing. But we learned that, you probably already knew this, but she doesn't get any money from playlist plays, which is so sad, and that might change, but good for you, girl, making money out of your trauma.
Oh my God, she got millions of followers. Someone offered to fly her to London and Paris because she didn't get to go. BMW was making videos.
I saw. Beautiful. Get on that social media manager. We see you.
I know. I just have never. I heard a lot of people being like, all of us have experienced a legion. I'm sorry. I have never in my life heard of someone as insane as Legion.
Well, unfortunately
that
for him, he is diagnosed as bipolar and schizophrenic.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Is that a recent development?
Yeah. She talked about that. She's had a couple updates since, Legion's brother reached out to her and asked her to speak on some of the truths. I guess their mother died first, I think is what she said, but their father had died first. So there was correcting some of that stuff. And the brother wanted her to mention the parents really did try to help him and get him the proper support that he needed for his mental health. But then when they died, it just went to shit. And so he also did recognize his brother. I don't know. I mean, I think she said that he said that he's a piece of shit and he has ruined other people's lives.
The man has a lot of enemies.
Yes.
I don't think he has anyone in his life who is still putting up with the bullshit.
However, I will say that I think definitely what he did is a form of abuse
for sure.
But I just don't. I don't think any of this would have happened if the pandemic didn't happen. I think she
100%
was definitely in a fight or flight situation. But I don't understand why, while you're in such a new relationship, when they were talking about buying that house, the first house, and he lied about
the first house of 4.
I know, but he lied about saying that he was going to close on the house when someone else had bought it, and she knew that.
Yeah.
Why not ask him that? I don't know. For me, I come from a place where if my partner is being sus, I'm going to call them out on it.
100%. But I think she mentioned this too in one of her stop sign kind of videos. But I feel yes, it's the pandemic. So you're forced into a situation where you got to quarantine with this guy or you're never going to see him again. So I can understand why she would do that. And then by that point, you're already kind of in it. And also I feel she had trouble finding love. And so it was very easy to excuse a lot. Also, she wasn't telling any of her friends and family any of this. So no one could be like, bitch, like, hello, from an outside perspective, this looks crazy.
Yeah. Well, at least she's benefiting from it. And I'm sure she's had a lot of loss because of it. So
let's hope that she gets her own movie or something, or her own series.
Well, Tyler Perry,
allegedly
he's buying the rights to her story.
Oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? He's probably gonna
be okay. No,
he's gonna make the Reesa Teesa movie.
Daniels.
Not Lee Daniels. He's going to produce the Reesa Teesa movie. He's going to write the script in 2 days. He's going to film the whole movie in 2 weeks. Everyone's going to have fucked up wigs. Like, it's just not going to be good.
I have a little more faith in Tyler Perry.
The Tyler Perry movies now, Medea's Family Reunion is an iconic look at Black trauma, Black family, etc. But if you look at his other movies, they are so out of pocket.
Which ones?
Any of them.
The Butler?
No, I'm talking about like Woman Thou Art Loosed.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh my God. Exactly.
Is that on the Tyler Perry streaming service? Whatever the hell it's called. I'm sure it exists.
It should be, yes.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be like him and Oprah are going to produce this movie or television show.
I want it to be like Harmony Korine. Like,
what's that?
Like a dark kind of Zola vibe.
It's going to be a Hallmark movie or TV show or a Lifetime TV show.
Yeah, it is kind of giving Lifetime. You're right.
That's what it's going to be. And that's what he's going to produce. And that's okay.
It's going to be distributed by Mar Vista Entertainment, a former Full Screen client.
Are they? I don't even think they're around anymore.
I have no idea.
I think they folded.
I don't know if you're alive or dead.
But what's really going on, Bria?
What's really going on is that we're dogging the men who have dogged us. So much like Reesa Teesa, maybe not as extremely as her, I feel like we all have the men in our lives who might have dogged us a little bit. And you know what? They might have gotten away with it a little bit for a minute, but we came around and we learned some things. So
yes,
we're going to spread the knowledge today. Spread the lessons to the youth.
To the youths.
It's all about the youth.
We know you're watching. We know you're listening. What I'll say is I wish I had told the men why they were pieces of shit, because I think I learned from my situation. I don't think they did. Maybe some of them did. I mean, my first boyfriend ever in high school, mind you, my self-confidence is like in the shitter. Like, I just never felt like the pretty girl or pretty or noticed like ever. I felt like I had a crush, the same crush from kindergarten to 8th grade.
Oh my God.
I know, I was a committed woman.
Damn.
And he did not give two shits about me at all. I just wasn't his type. And I think it was like too close for comfort. Like, we were friends.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think my mom mostly was pushing it too hard. So I just never felt like anyone actually was attracted to me except for like not attractive men in middle school.
I had a similar experience. Like, I had a lot of crushes that were so completely unattainable to me. Like, I don't know how y'all were out here in high school hooking up and having sex and having boyfriends and stuff. Like, how did you get someone to like you? How the fuck did you get someone to like? Explain.
My first boyfriend in high school, Devin, he
are we using names?
I don't give a shit about him.
Ooh.
I will use names for those
period. Okay.
Associated with. I don't even know where he is. But he was like this tall Asian guy who played basketball, and he was like into me, I'm sure, for the booty.
Oh.
And like the first month of school, freshman year, he asked me to be his girlfriend. Very quick. We didn't even date. I mean, I don't even know if you do date at that age.
What happened? Because I feel like back then it was like a random guy from your class approaches and is like, do you want to be my girlfriend? And like, that's how it starts.
I think we were texting on my flip phone. And then he asked me to be his girlfriend. And I was like, oh my God. And I was just so taken aback because I had kissed boys and like done stuff with like people at camp, but But this was like the first time somebody asked me to be their girlfriend. And I was like, okay. And then like 4 days later, he was like, do you want to have sex? And I was like, whoa. I don't even think I had French kissed somebody at that time. Like, because my first French kiss was at the Halloween dance freshman year.
Oh.
Yeah. With someone I got made fun of making out with.
Oh.
Yeah. He was from the public high school, and everyone was like, oh my God, you made out with him?
Sick.
And I was like, I didn't know who he was, but apparently everybody else did. They lived in Manhattan Beach. But anyway, I didn't have sex with my first boyfriend, and then he was ghosting me. I didn't even know what that was. And I was just like, you're not talking to me anymore. And he was like, so? And I was like, we're done. That was like a week after him asking me. But he had cheated on me and slept with some girl that he was then dating all of high school, in our high school. And then I had to go on like a double date with them one time. And I was just like,
wait.
why am I here?
Wait. He cheated on you. Mm-hmm. And you had to, he ended up with the girl he cheated on you with. And then you met up with him and her together. Yeah. And you had another date.
I can't remember who it was, but it was a like mutual guy friend of ours. And he was like, I think they were best friends. And he was like, yeah, we need to like go to dinner with Devin and his girlfriend at the time, all of high school. And she just loved to like passive aggressively like mention how we dated for 1 week and be like, I won basically. This is all going down at Macaroni Grill, mind you, where I got food poisoning from one time for my build your own pasta bowl. Oh, yeah, that was bad.
Damn, not the Macaroni Grill.
But I wish I had.
Have you been there since?
Fuck no.
Yeah,
I don't even know if it exists anymore. But when I got that, I used to love Macaroni Grill.
Really?
Oh my God. I used to love it. Was like, you know, in Glee, they go to like the Soup Plantation-esque restaurant all the time for the breadsticks.
Oh my. Wait, is Macaroni Grill like a buffet? Or do they just have a salad bar? It's like a Marie Callender's, right?
It's giving like Marie Callender vibes, but more like
slightly better.
Yes, but that was like the fancy date night place in high school.
They have the what do you call it? The tablecloths that are paper.
Yeah, that you can draw on.
Oh wow, crisp.
Yeah, like you went to Johnny Rockets like with your friends after school to like have a bite to eat and like maybe see a guy you like. You were going to Macaroni Grill for like a wine and dine kind of night with a date in high school until I got food poisoning. And then I was like, I'm never going back there. And then everyone was like, why? And I was like, I got food poisoning. And then look, I think it's out of business.
I don't know. I think there's a Macaroni Grill in my hometown.
Oh, really?
I vaguely remember it. I'll have to check next time. But
I think it's gone from where our high school was. But yeah.
Honestly, good riddance.
I wish I had dogged him harder. I just kind of was like, okay, I guess we're done then. And I didn't tell him like, well, I didn't find out that he had cheated on me until afterwards. But I wish I had more self-confidence to like analyze the situation and like get to know him better and be like, oh, we have nothing in common and you're kind of gross, so I'm good. But I just said yes because he asked me.
I got another lesson out of your story, and that is do not fuck with athletes. Now, did I marry an athlete? Yes. But it was after his athlete years, you see. You cannot be dating an athlete.
He was also a runner, a cross-country runner, wasn't he?
Yeah. They
really?
Yes.
I think there's certain athletes where they are dateable, married material, and there's some that are not. Then Nico was a golfer. He never did it in college. He could have, but
still, like golf, tennis, maybe.
Swimming.
You can't trust the swimmers.
I was going to say, you can't trust the water polo players.
Definitely not. Water polo, football, basketball. Hell no. The three, what is it?
Baseball too, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Oh, damn.
Hockey, no. I think you can marry a hockey player.
Hockey's tough because do you follow Caitlin Bristow? She dated a hockey player and followed him to Germany. Then he dogged her. I don't know.
The same thing happened with Hillary Duff.
Ooh, and Alex Cooper too. She dated a hockey player who dogged her. You can't, listen. Do what you want. with your life, but in my opinion, we should not be dating student athletes, especially if you're in college.
I dated a student athlete in college.
Okay, let me just run this by you.
Football player.
Okay, we're going to get to that in a second. Let me ask you what you would do in this situation. I'm going to make this super quick. I had a friend who was dating a football player.
At UCLA.
At UCLA, and I saw that guy on Bumble and something else. One of the other dating apps. Like, I saw him on multiple. And I was like, should I tell her, or is this part of it? We weren't really like super close friends.
How close are you?
We would party together.
Would you text each other?
Not really.
Okay.
But I didn't tell her, and I think they're still together.
Oh my God.
What would you have done? You would have told her, even if you didn't know her that well? I mean, I knew her well. We hung out.
I'm trying to think. Like, there were
groups.
girls in my group in college that I wasn't on a texting relationship with, and if I had saw their boyfriend on Tinder, I may have told their friend that I was closer to. Like, hey, I saw this. Okay. I don't know if I can tell her.
I tried doing that, and that friend said, shut it the fuck down. Well, don't tell her.
I think that's maybe where it ends.
The point is that you can't trust him. So who is this football player?
Should I say his full name?
No, just like what happened? Did he dog you is the question. That you know of.
Well, okay. So again, my freshman year of college now. I forget how we met, maybe in class, but again, I have a really nice butt, and I think that attracts everybody that...
Listen, Jenny's nickname is DJ Booty Trap. That says it all. That's all you need to know.
I'm trapping with the booty.
Period.
But anyway, he asked me to go on a date, and I have like a video on photo booth from my laptop, like recording me getting ready for the date. And my friends are like so excited. They're like, it's like the scene in Legally Blonde when she's getting ready to like get proposed to. Like, it felt like that when Elle Woods is like, and her whole sorority is like around her. Like,
I love that like girlhood.
Yeah. They rallied around me. They wanted me to make sure I looked good and felt good for my date. I don't even remember the date. I just remember like the last hangout we had, he was always trying to meet up with me and have sex with me. And I was at a frat house, and he came, and all the frat guys are just so like, oh my God, there's a football player in our house. Like, you're basically a king on campus, even if you don't even play. Like, and he did play because he was like he wasn't the running back. He was like the tailback, but he was also really short. He was like 5'6". Yes. So if
there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm 5'8", especially in college.
So he was like here?
Yeah. And I just wasn't attracted to him. So I had a very easy time being like, I'm not going to have sex with you. I didn't have sex with him, and like, we're good. So he didn't really dog me, but he was sleeping. Well, he was sleeping with a lot of women on campus. I was just in his rotation. But we were never like committed, you know?
Yeah. And maybe if you had been committed, like, he would have continued that behavior.
Maybe, or maybe
like
I would have
the vibe
changed
that I
him.
get. Oh, you would have changed him? Let's teach you another fucking lesson, ladies. You can't force anyone to change. They have to want to change for themselves.
That's true.
So you never know.
Yeah. I don't know if he was like that when he was single or in a relationship, but then he played for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh.
And my mom was like, you fucked up. Should have gotten that football player.
You know what? It's all fun and games when you're with a football player. You marry them, you secured your bag until they retire 5 years later, and then they have CTE, and they're insane. So.
I don't think I would let my kids play football. That's like the only sport they're not going to be allowed to play.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
But that's not even my worst story.
Oh, shit.
My worst being dogged story is pretty bad, and I would say for me is the straw that broke the camel's back on not having self-worth in a relationship with a man.
Okay, so set the scene. Like, when is this in relation to your high school dogging?
Oh, this is in college.
Like, when in college?
like my senior year of college.
Oh, okay.
So
you're grown.
Yes, I'm grown. I'm 21 at the time, and I had just told my on and off boyfriend, who was who I lost my virginity to in high school. This was the other dogging. He dogged me originally because he blocked me on everything. Like, I couldn't call him, couldn't text him, couldn't aim him, Facebook, nothing. 2 months after I lost my virginity to him. And then he came back 9 months around and been like, hey, are you going on vacation again with your family? My family's going on vacation too. And I was like,
he wasn't
where
like,
were you?
By the way, I've been in a coma for the past 9 months.
He had gotten another girlfriend at the time. And he didn't want to tell me. And I was just like, that definitely set up some trauma. And
that is really traumatic.
I was like, what is wrong with me? Am I boy obsessed? Like, I'm like psychoanalyzing. Maybe I'm not pretty enough. Maybe I'm ugly. Like, I don't know what I said. Ugh, I wish I had someone who was like, there's nothing wrong with you. You are totally fine, and he's a dick. But no one really knew what was going on, but I took him back.
You just brought back a memory for me. The day before I drove down to meet you and the girls in San Diego, I had called my parents. My longtime boyfriend had basically broken up with me. It's a long story. That's another breakup trauma.
Do you want to tell it?
Yeah, I'll tell it. And then I called my parents to tell them, and the first thing my dad said to me is, okay, well, the first thing I want to tell you is that there is nothing wrong with you. This is not a reflection of you. It's okay. Like, things just change. It's not about you. And looking back on that, I was like, that is what everyone needs to hear in that moment. Because I feel like anytime a man dogs you or breaks up with you or like anything, even if it's small, the first instinct is to question like what you did or like what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
And so rarely is there something wrong with you when it happens like that. Like, it's just a part of life. It's just the thing. And it has nothing to do with you. There's nothing wrong with you.
There was nothing right with him ever either.
Oh.
We never clicked.
Or I was going to ask you where he is now, or where they both are now.
Oh, I think my on and off boyfriend from high school through college, it looks like he's in a relationship now, which I'm very happy for him. I hope he's happy. And then my first ever boyfriend, God knows, because he went to correctional high school and like got in trouble, and I don't even know.
Okay, well, hopefully in the correctional high school they had mental health services.
I don't know. But the third boyfriend, I hope he rots in hell.
Rot in hell, Jax.
Rot in hell, Jax.
Rot in hell.
And they're broken up.
Oh my God, you guys. It honestly,
so sad.
It's so sad. Are we surprised that
also,
Jax cannot maintain a relationship long term? Like,
but good for her. God, because he did her dirty.
Talk about dogging.
We're talking
on
about
national television. Jackson Brittany from Vanderpump Rules. That man cheated on her and shit talked her and was recorded doing it on national television.
On House of Villains or
no, on Vanderpump Rules when he hooked up with Faith and she recorded him like after they hooked up, shit talking her. Like, I'm sorry. He dogged her. He dogged her big.
I hope that they're okay because they have kids or they have a kid together, but
sad anyway.
But anyway, my third and final like dogging man story. My senior year of college, I'm on a break with my on and off boyfriend. I go into my senior year being like, and I dated people when I studied abroad that didn't work out. And one was like so heartbreaking because we broke up because I left, but I loved him. I was going in my senior year being like, I'm single. This is going to be my senior year. My best friends are single. Like, this is going to be great. We can go out to the bars. I'm going to like be in my like hoe era.
Yes.
And syllabus week, which is like a thing in Boulder. Yeah, like no one really, it's like school has started, but not really. So people are going out like every single night. and my best friend roommate at the time was dating someone, and his roommate hit on me at the bar and then pursued me very hard. And listen, he was cute, and he also had a lot of additional things, because I just dated men who were very easily, in my mind, to be like, okay, you're a piece of shit. Like, there are things here, either like drug addiction, like abuse, like not physical abuse, but just there were just like big red flags that I could be like, oh, okay, we're done. He, on paper, he was a finance major. He came from a very affluent family in Colorado. And he, like, I was like, he is going to take care of me if I stay
Sprinkle,
with
sprinkle.
him. Sprinkle. So we started dating, like the first semester of school. And then he starts to like, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. And now this is great, because like my roommate best friend is dating his roommate best friend. So we're like in this weird kind of foursome situation. And then my best friend started dating that guy, the same guy. It was a little too incestuous.
That's a little.
But me and this other guy were, let's call him Travis. Me and Travis we were good. Like, we were really cute. There was one night where I slept over at his house, and he was like, oh, I got to go pick up my roommates from the bars. His house is probably like a 20-minute drive from the bars. I'm laying there, like, we had just hooked up, and I'm laying there like waiting for him. It's like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour goes by, an hour and a half goes by, and then I hear his roommates come in to the house, and I'm like, where's Travis? And they're like trying to think on their feet and be like, he's coming back. And I was like, what do you mean?
Fucking think.
I was like, what do you mean? He's not with you? And they were like, no, we just got back from the bars. And I was like, you guys drove back from the bars? Or like, no, we walked back. And I was like, oh, he told me he was going to go pick you guys up from the bars. And they're like, oh, well, he's not with us. Like, they did not want to throw him the bro code. They don't want to throw him under the bus. He walks in like 10 minutes after they do. So now it's been like an hour and 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours even. And I'm like, where were you? And he was like, I went to go pick up my roommates. I'm like, well, they're all here and you're not. So where were you? Because you're lying to me.
Oh, my
Lord.
Lord.
I don't do lying. And he was like, I think he like he had said his ex-girlfriend. So mind you, when we started to date, he had told me he had broken up with his ex-girlfriend 3 weeks prior. He said that his ex-girlfriend was crying, saying that she was going to kill herself if he didn't come over. And so he was like, I have to go like see, I don't want her to die.
Oh my God, he's such a hero.
And I was like, why couldn't you tell me that you were doing that? And he was like, I didn't want to upset you. Like, I didn't want you to understand the whole situation, or I didn't want to explain the whole situation to you, kind of thing. And I was like, okay. And then she messaged me that night.
She came to you as a woman.
She messaged me on Facebook, and I wish I still had the message. And it was a long message, like, basically, I know you're dating Travis. Like, we were not broken up when you got together. We are now not seeing each other, but like, you should get out basically and like leave him, and what you're doing is wrong. And I, of course, at the time take that as like, oh, she's jealous, because in my mind I'm like, they broke up and she's just trying to get him back or something.
Oh my God, Jenny, it's a tale as old as time.
It gets worse.
Okay.
Then Halloween, then we're still dating, but then it gets into October. I don't hear from him for like a week in the middle of October, and then Halloween comes around, and I run into him at a bar, and I'm like, hi, boyfriend, where have you been?
Ooh.
Because we've been together and dating for like 2.5 months at this point, and you just started like literally not answering my texts, and then I start feeling like I'm going crazy. And we start talking. We're both very drunk, and then he was like, I'll walk you home. And I was like, okay. And then we start walking home, and he was like, I have to tell you something. And I was like, what? And he was like, you know, that night that I left and said, like, I went to go see my ex-girlfriend. Well, I actually, like, she had an abortion that day. And I had to go help her with her abortion. Or, like, coddle her because he felt really bad for her and she was suicidal. And I like, remember falling to the ground and being like, what? But I'm also really drunk. And then he sleeps over that night.
This is crazy.
Yeah. He sleeps over that night. And I wake up the next morning and I remember him telling me that and it being so awkward. And I can't remember. I feel like we probably did hook up, which is horrible. And we have this whole conversation and he goes, I felt like I killed my, like, unborn son or something. I feel like I killed my first child is what he said to me. And I'm like consoling him and he was like, I just don't know if I'm, like, in the right place to do this with you right now. And I was just, I am so stupid. I'm like, no, we can make this work. Like, I'm trying so hard.
Where is that, like, in hindsight, were you just hyping him up or, like, was it just like, you've invested this time, so you got to keep it going? Or, like, what was the reasoning for, like, holding on?
I saw a future with him.
You were going for the sprinkle.
I was going for the sprinkle. I saw, I'm going to be taken care of by this man who's going to be so successful. And, like, he has all this, like, wealth in Colorado. And, like, I can stay here and, like, still be, like, a working woman, but, like, feel like I have someone to fall back on. I have the alpha male. I'm dating the alpha male. And I never really dated the alpha male. So then we don't talk. We go into winter break. We come back. And he wants to, like, reconnect. And I told him that I had gotten tickets to go to a Broncos playoff game. Mind you, I also was being a little desperate, and I knew that he would go to this bar. He would go to the girls' night like bar every Thursday to hit on chicks, which I just was like, oh, they just like going to, like, you know how you would get free drinks in
ladies' night. He would go to the bar on ladies' night.
He would go every Thursday to ladies' night, which looking back, I'm like, hello. But I'm like, no, I'm going to run into Travis and I'm going to like seduce him every Thursday night to the point where my friends were like, we're not going to go there anymore. Like, this is not healthy for you. Because you're trying so hard to get this man back who like clearly is messing with you. And I was just like, no, like, I'm going to get him back. We go to the Broncos playoff game together. He tells me he wants me to meet his parents. Like, he wants to get back together with me, yada, yada, yada. I can't remember, like, what happened between us. I think what happened was then on St. Patty's, I went out with my girlfriends and my guy friends, and this girl sees me and comes up to me, and we have, like, mutual friends, sort of. She comes up to me and she goes, "You're the other woman." And I was like, what? She's like, "You're dating Travis, aren't you?" And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, I'm dating him and I just found out that he's with you too. So what the hell? Like, basically trying to tell me I'm the other woman. I'm like, I've been with him since the beginning of school. So I think you're the other woman. And she was like, wait, you've been dating him since when? And I was like, since like school started in August. And she was like, oh, like she felt dumbfounded. Like she thought she was first.
Oh my Lord.
But then, and this is where the story ends, is me and his first girlfriend had a mutual friend. And one night we're out and we go to like a restaurant to get like drunchies afterwards. And basically I put two and two together that I said, "Did you date Travis?" Last name. And she was like, "Oh my God, you're Jenny." And I was like, yeah. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to ask you all the questions I have. And first of all, we talked for like her and I are just going back and forth for 3 hours. And all our friends are like sitting around us like, okay.
I would do anything to get in a time machine and go back and like be the friend that's sitting next to you while this is going down.
Well, you can ask that friend at my wedding.
Oh my God.
But then I ask her, I'm like, I like, when did you break up with him? Like, I want all the facts before I get into, like, did you have an abortion? Or I think at this point she has had one, and I don't know how to be like, are you okay? But I was like, I think I said something like, you know, he told me about your guys' situation, and I'm so, so, so sorry. And I didn't know that, you know, you were pregnant at the time that we started dating. And then she goes like, what are you talking about?
Legion.
And I go, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't want to like expose your business, but he told me like he consoled you when you aborted like your guys's, I mean, I don't know if I said baby, but like you guys had an abortion together. And she goes, he said what? And I was like, you didn't have an abortion? She goes, no. She was like, not that I'm against abortions, but I was never pregnant with his baby. And I was like, what? And I was like, okay, well, this such and such night, he said that he went to go console you. She was like, we were still together. We were still dating when he started dating you. She was like, we never broke up until I found out about you. And I was like, oh my God. She was like, that's why I messaged you that night, because he said that he had to go back to his house. And I forgot about this too. There was one night when we were really in the peak of us dating. This was like in September of that year. And I don't think I slept over his house that night. I think I went back with my friends, because he had said that she tried to break into his house and climb through the window to get back with him. And all of his best friends and roommates backed his ass up on that and was like, yeah, she's crazy. She tried to break in. And I asked her about that night, and she goes, we were still dating. She was like, we were still together, and I was trying to like get back into the house. Like, she was like, my stuff was in there. I was trying to get into the house. And I was like, that's so weird, because that night they had a birthday party for him. It was his birthday. I was like, why weren't you there? I can't remember what she had said, but she was just like, I didn't know that he was having a party. So I think it was something like that.
Wait, so she did break into his place, or she didn't?
I think she tried to, because they had locked her out. But the way
he was dogging her.
Yes, but the way they make it seem is like, oh, they were broken up and she's crazy trying to get in the house when she. So this is where I still to this day don't really know who was telling the truth, because there's no solid evidence on either side that shows that he was telling the truth or she was telling the truth. And I did ask his best friend, who was dating two of my friends at different times, and I was just like, let's call him Jose. Okay. I asked Jose, I was like, what is going on here? And he just gave me such a vague ass answer. He was like, he basically was like, if you don't believe him and all this, he was like, I know that he has not been the most faithful, but like, if you're really going to believe this other girl that you don't know, like, I don't know what to say to you. And all of them were like that. They would not give me solid answers, and it pissed me the F off.
Because they didn't want to be implicated and be like liars.
They had bro code hard.
Yeah.
They had bro code so hard. Oh, and one other key detail, and then this is over. There was a girl one night when I slept over his house that was texting him, and this was the only time I ever looked at his phone. And and I didn't even turn it over. No, it was like on the table on his nightstand. He was in his bathroom. His phone was like blowing up, and I looked at the text messages, and I saw some girl that he had mentioned to me that like he was like kid like cute with, like they would like, she had a crush on him, he said, back when he lived in Pennsylvania before he moved to Colorado. This girl lived in Pennsylvania, and she was like, is that Jenny girl still bothering you? And I ignored that flag too. I never even asked him about that. Yeah. So now that girl from Pennsylvania and him are married and live in Texas. You're dumb. I feel bad for you. And you are so lucky you didn't have to go through all this trauma that I had to endure for you with that man.
With peace and love. This is the High Girlies 50-part Reesa Teesa story that needs to be on TikTok.
Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. So I do understand Reesa Teesa a little bit.
Yeah. Like obviously not
though.
as
The
like
house thing is just like that just could fuck up your credit, could fuck you up. But I get it but I was also in college.
But
22.
she wasn't even involved in the house thing. It wasn't even going to be in her name. So she really had nothing to lose.
Know. Yeah, I get it. I shouldn't judge her for it because I basically went through the same thing.
That is so.
He fucked up my like senior year, is how I feel.
Oh my! I cannot believe that ending.
And I remember seeing him and approaching him being at the ladies' night.
Oh my God.
And being like, you're such a piece of shit. Like, I went off on him.
Oh, so you got to confront him.
Yeah, but it didn't do anything. I tried, and I actually, like people were pulling me back from being like, fuck you. Yeah. But he still I didn't see until, I never really got closure, honestly. I never really got closure. I never really got to ask him about all these things and like be like, what is the truth? Like all I did was see him out in ladies' night, seeing him yet again hooking up with another girl. And I tried so hard to really like tell him off. And I just got like a couple words in and my friend pulled me back and his friend like, yeah. So from what I remember. But then I saw he started dating that girl from Pennsylvania after college, and then he got a job in Texas and she followed him out there and now they're married. I don't know if they have kids, but I'm better off.
I'm speechless. Obviously you're better off, but like I just cannot believe the audacity. I kind of want to like after this, please show me what he looks like because this man must be the most attractive man that anyone has ever seen to be pulling this shit. There's got to be something going on there.
I think you'll also think that he used to have pictures of his family. So he had two sisters, and one of them went to college when we went to college. But, this is the family at a Broncos game. But then
Jenny.
This is him with the wife. You can't really see his face.
Girl.
I mean,
that's like this guy has the same energy as like hot youth group guy. Like the guy in youth group that you're like, oh my God, he can pick up so many chairs at the end of service.
I mean, he was cute. Oh, and this was his friend that dated my friends.
Okay. Look, it can happen to anyone. It can happen to anyone.
I'm trying to see. This is the family with the dogs. And I was like, I'm going to be a part of this.
Like vaguely know you from college are going to be able to find out who this is so quick because you're giving so many details.
Oh,
the
for
siblings.
Sure. Go ahead.
The
please.
Pennsylvania to Colorado, the finance.
You know what? I hope you've learned from your lessons. I know it was college, but my God, you left so much damage. And I honestly, if you know who I'm talking about and if you are friends with him and if you have some cojones, please tell me what actually happened. And if you're the girl who was accused of having an abortion, like, please let us know because I still to this day, and any of my friends would back me up on this. We have no idea what the truth is. None. Afterwards, I like self-soothe by like hooking up with other guys that were always into me in college that I was not into at all. And Nico was still trying to get with me. Bless his soul.
If you didn't listen to our Valentine's Day episode, go back and listen to the story of how they met.
It would be even like that year. He was like, "Happy graduation!" Like just texting me constantly. And then I moved back home. I get back with my ex, who I lost my virginity to, at this time, and I'm like trying to make that work. That doesn't work, and then I started dating Nico like in the fall of that year, and the only thing I think I wish I had done for myself, well, I don't know. Let me ask you this, because you were single in between your two big relationships. I felt like maybe I should have really been single, but I was sort of. I just also hooked up with other guys.
I think that's fine.
Okay.
I think that's totally normal. Like, you take the first few months to just, like, be alone and figure out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Then you start putting yourself out there and, like, having, like, a fun time. And then eventually you meet someone and you're like, okay, I guess.
Like in between this happening, I think I was single for like a month and a half before I started talking to my on and off ex again. Then we were like together for all of that summer. And then I was like, you know what? I had an epiphany at Outside Lands that year. I was like, I need to invest in me and stop doing things for these men just because they're giving me attention. Like,
yes.
I was like, look at I don't know what it was. It must have been being in that environment. Honestly, festivals sometimes like are good cleansing for your soul and like waking your brain up. But I was just like, look at all these men who have been attracted to me. And look at all these men who are hitting me up even after I graduated being like, what are you doing now? Ooh. That never came out of the woodwork during college. I was like, I can do better. I don't need to do this on and off BS anymore. Broke it off. And then like a month later, Nico and I started dating.
I feel like that's like a pivotal situation, like a pivotal moment in every woman's life where you realize I can pull a lot of men. It's not a big deal if one fucks me over. Like, I don't have to put up with this. I can find someone who is actually worth my time.
Yeah. I mean, and then Nico, like, he was trying to get with me hard before Outside Lands, and my mom was like, look at this guy. So I think that also helped too, that I knew I had somebody else.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you never really like had just a time when you were like alone after that traumatic situation?
I was
not talking to anyone, no Nico, no nothing.
No hookups?
No, hookups are fine.
There I would say from like April, May. No, April. I was not talking to anybody.
Okay.
And then I fell back into my on and off relationship in May, and he was like, I'm calling you my girlfriend. Like, I want to be committed to you. He had finally, like, in my mind, stepped up to the plate. And he flew out. He took me to like the nicest restaurant in Boulder. He got me like a really nice. His love language was definitely gift giving, and he really gifted. And he was like, "I want to be with you." We saw each other so much that summer. You know, we spent Outside Lands. I mean, truly, he is like. I think people have multiple soulmates in a weird, twisted way. I definitely think he was that for me at that time. But
well, I think sometimes soulmates are the person who you end up with, and sometimes they're the person who you guys are like tied to each other from the ether and meant to like teach each other things.
I think he was that for me, and I think I was that for him. And I don't know if he would admit that, but I definitely felt like we connected on a really deeper level. Like we would really talk about really in depth, like our conversations were deep, really deep, but he had a lot of demons that he needed to deal with. And he was still in college when I graduated and was going to be in college for a couple of years after. And I was like,
you're out of the college lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think the idea that we really need to walk away from International Women's Day with is that you need to understand that men, at the end of the day, really ain't shit. And what I mean by that is that we spend so much of our lives putting men on pedestals, and then you realize once they're out of your life, like, oh, I survived. And honestly, I feel better now. You do not need a man. You do not need to be treated like shit. If you want a man, that's fine. Look. Did you listen to Tish Cyrus on Call Her Daddy?
I started it, but I never finished it.
It was so good. She was like talking about her divorce and how she said, you know, I was really worried that I was going to be unlovable. I wasn't going to find someone who understood me. And for all you people out there who are like, bitch, you need a man. You know what? You do you. And if you don't need a man, that's fine. But I was worried that I wasn't going to find love again. And guess what? I did. And now I'm way happier than I ever was in my marriage. That was like the big deal that I was known for, that had all my kids and all of that. So it really is just, it's all in you, girl. If you want a man, that's fine. But you don't need to be treated like shit. Like, you can find, trust me, there are billions of people on this planet. There are probably thousands of people in your state, city, whatever. Like, you can find someone.
Yeah, don't ever settle.
Do not settle. Or else you're in a world of pain and regret.
I also think, too, like, I mean, I don't know. I've been in a relationship now with the same person for 10 years, almost. So we've definitely had a lot of hardship, but I think for me, what has kept me in my relationship is that he is always wanting to work on it. He's never like, no, I don't want. I mean, sometimes there's a little back and forth of like, we need to do this. But I feel like even in my relationship right now, like it feels the best it's ever felt. And our relationship has always just gone up. I do feel like it is really hard to keep a relationship good from when you date when you're 22 to almost 32. My God. I mean, I was with the same person all in my 20s, but I don't know. I just feel like I feel the best feeling that I can get from someone, and especially a man, is that like they have my back. Like Nico will never, and I mean if he does, we're done. But like, because people can change, but he would never not have my back. That's
the key.
Nico literally only cares about me and his mother and his dad, and that's it. And I feel that. And it took a long time to get there. So I don't know. It's hard because it's like, I know what made me stay. It's definitely like the comfort feeling, but also like the love that we had. We have had some hard times, but I don't know. I just never gave up on our love. I always chose to love him. You know?
It definitely is a choice because I can speak on that from the other side as someone who was with someone from when I was 19 to 26, 25, something like that. Mm-hmm. And on the other side of the coin, I do also want to say that I think when you meet someone when you're young and you're together for years, you're like, this must be it. This is my life. This is my plan. Yeah. Like, I'm already in it. This feels good. It feels comfortable. It's safe. Like, it's fine. And that comfort will keep you in a situation that is like not really elevating you. Like, it's not really advancing the plot. And then it's not until you're forced out of that situation that you realize like, oh my God, wait, I don't have to like have this one plan for my life. I can literally do whatever the fuck I want now. I have no ties to anyone. I can grow. I can learn. I can completely change. I mean, my life has like completely shifted from the time that I was 25 to the time right now. Yeah. And I am more confident and like myself than I have ever been in my entire life. And I truly think that I would not have done that had I stayed in that relationship.
Do you think it was him or do you think it was you that like stifled your growth?
I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's my own feeling of comfort with the status quo. Because I have anxiety. So I'm like, not trying to really venture out of like the safe zone. Mm-hmm. And for when you don't venture out of the safe zone, nothing happens in your life. Everything stays the same. You don't really like learn as much. It's just.
But do you think you could have been you with him? Or, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
no,
because he just didn't support you in that way.
I think at a certain point along the line, he just didn't get me. And I didn't really get him either. We got each other when we were both 19 and partying and in school and doing all that. And then I got like, hey, I want to stay in and I want to work on my blog. And I want to like do this social media stuff. I want to just do more basically and like put myself out there. And he didn't really get it. And like he was also still in that partying, stay out all the time thing. And I was like, girl, I'm going home at 8 p.m. and I'm like writing my post. Like, I'm not doing that shit anymore. I think that happens like to a lot of people who meet a boyfriend or have a serious relationship in college. You meet when you're 19, you have completely different personalities. And like, I stopped drinking. Like, it just wasn't. You just change. Yeah. There's so many there's so many chances in your 20s especially for you to just like do different things and like go different ways. And if you aren't like both going that same way during that completely pivotal, life-changing time, it doesn't work.
Yeah. I think for me with my relationship, it's interesting to hear you say that, because anything I've ever wanted to do, Nico has always supported me. You know, like he's like, yeah, you should, like, he's so supportive of the podcast. You know, he wants to see me succeed. I think he has struggled with finding his footing in life, but
like he never looks at what you do and he's like, I don't get that, so I'm not into it.
Yeah.
That can be very stifling.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there was anything, but I can't.
Well, like if you're doing social media, that's like a very obvious example, because a lot of men don't really get it. It's a women thing to like, influencing is like predominantly women, a female, you know, industry. Yeah. And so a lot of men do not fucking get it. And that was like a major problem, because that was a huge part of my life.
I didn't even know that point.
I
didn't know that was a big thing. Like why that didn't work out.
Oh yeah, because he didn't get it. And it wasn't even that I realized that he didn't like. It wasn't even that I was recognizing that I had a problem that he didn't get it. It was more that he didn't get it, and it was making him resent me. Wow. Because I was doing that.
Resenting you?
I mean, like...
Jesus.
It was changing his opinion of me because he thought that it was stupid. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
And so when I was single, I was like, you know what? I'm going to find someone who doesn't give a fuck about what I do and is going to be like... Listen, I don't have an Instagram. I don't know how any of that shit works, but like you do you. You want me to like come with you to this thing? Like I'm down because I see that you're passionate about it and that makes me happy, even if you don't understand it. And then I ended up marrying a photographer who does social media, and it all just came together that way. But even if like, my point is that Nico isn't someone who's like on social media and stuff. Like I'm sure he listens to podcasts, but like when you told him about High Girlies, he was like, oh my God, hell yes. Yeah. Like we were texting each other after we had got home that night and like told Nico and Will, and we were like, oh my God, they're so excited about us doing that. That is so important. It's so important to feel like supported in that way.
Like I think in our early days, like the going out, because he's very much like you, when we started dating, it slowly tapered off, and he eventually was like, he's just not into it. He would rather be at home doing stuff. And so at first I kind of took that as like, oh, you're not with me on these things. But I think there's a difference in that, like feeling supported and just like not wanting to go out. Like,
yeah, but he would still be like, okay, Jenny is a going out person.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to know Jenny Levine, you got to know, girl, she's going to be out and about. She's going to be with her friends. She's going to be like full on extrovert.
And that's the other thing. He never was like, why are you going out? Like, stay with me. He was like totally okay. He's like, you can go out. You can go to that thing. I just don't really want to go. And I would rather like stay at home. And sometimes he'll go out. But yeah, it's taken me a lot of time to realize. And I think it's really hard as a female to distinguish like what is right and what is wrong and like what you feel good about, especially me and what I've gone through. It's like I can very easily be like, oh, in the first 6 months of us dating, I was like freaking out. Like, okay, you did one little thing, we're done. And he would be like,
because you're on high alert from this crazy experience. Like I was the exact same way. If I sensed that someone was not like understanding of entrepreneurship or like anything like that, I was like, okay,
bye.
No, this is not, which it's, there's something to be said about knowing what you're looking for and being really strong in that. But I do think like our past experiences sometimes kind of overdo it a little bit and overinform it, and then we push good people away. But Nico stayed.
Will stayed.
And we're glad he did. Will gets it.
He gets it. Will really gets it. I love Will.
Yeah, me too. But my point in all of that, we'll wrap this up here, is just that you will find your person. And I never want someone to think like, okay, I've invested this much time, or like I'm not worthy of finding someone better, so like I want to stay in this shitty situation because this just is what it is.
Yeah.
It never just is what it is. You can change anything about your life at any point in time. Is it going to be hard to, pick up your life and move to New York City when you have no money or whatever? That might be hard. But leaving your ain't shit boyfriend, and finding someone who gets you, that's easy. Frankly, that's easy.
Yeah. There's a difference of someone who gets you versus someone who
tolerates you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to make sure that someone loves you because of that thing and not in spite of that thing.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes, even if they do love you for you and what you do, you're two different people, like co-mingling, cohabitating. It doesn't mean it's always going to be perfect. Like, you have to work at your relationship because you're two different people, and you have to make sure that, you guys are maintaining the car that is your relationship.
Yes, girl. You got to go to that Jiffy Lube.
Yeah.
You got to get that air filter changed out. But don't let them talk you into doing some stuff your car doesn't need.
Exactly. Preach. Exactly. And we will end on our quote of the day, which is chicks before dicks. Period.
Sisters before misters. Happy International Women's Day.
Bye, girlies.
Bye, girlies.